Imagine this. You're 47 years old. You run your own business, which is a nice way of saying the business runs you. 16-hour days aren't the exception anymore. They're just Tuesday. And don't think you get the weekend off. You've got 3 kids, a mortgage, and a business partner who keeps checking in at 11 p.m. You haven't taken a real day off in forever. You tell yourself it's temporary. You've noticed some stuff lately. You're tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. Your face looks rounder in photos, and you've chalked it up to bad angles and turning 47. Your gym buddies noticed you've gotten weaker, not stronger, even though you're still showing up. You've mentioned it to your wife. She says it's stress. You say it's stress. Everyone agrees it's stress, mostly because stress is a diagnosis that doesn't require an appointment. Tonight, you're closing out quarterly numbers at 11:40 p.m. Third coffee of the day going cold next to your laptop. When your chest does something it's never done before. It feels like your heart skipped a beat, and suddenly you realize that something is very wrong before you fall out of your chair. Oh, hey there. Before we get into what's currently happening inside your chest, let's cover a few things, because I promise you, the internet has been lying to you about cortisol, just not in the direction you'd expect. Fact 1. In small, short bursts, cortisol's fine. It's supposed to spike. That's the whole point. It's what gets you out of the way of a car or through a work deadline. The problem is, your body was built for cortisol spikes that last for minutes, not a hormonal siege that lasts for 18 months because you haven't had a day off since your youngest was in preschool. Fact 2, and this is the one that actually matters tonight. At high enough levels, cortisol stops behaving like just a stress hormone and starts impersonating a completely different one, aldosterone, the hormone that tells your kidneys how much potassium to hang on to. When cortisol's high enough for long enough, it starts hijacking that system, and your kidneys start dumping potassium like it's clutter, which would be a mildly interesting biology fact, except potassium is the actual electrical currency your heart runs on. You didn't get a stress hormone problem, you got a slow-motion wiring problem, and tonight's the night the wiring finally shorts. Let's get into the actual mechanics, because this stops being a vibes problem and starts being a math problem. Cortisol comes from your adrenal glands, and it's supposed to run on a rhythm, high in the morning, tapering off by night. Chronic stress breaks that rhythm. Instead of spiking and dropping, your cortisol spikes and just stays there. Because as far as your business is concerned, every day is still an emergency. Cortisol and aldosterone, the hormone that actually regulates your potassium, are close chemical cousins. Normally, an enzyme in your kidneys keeps cortisol out of aldosterone's job, but push cortisol high enough for long enough, and that enzyme gets overwhelmed. Cortisol starts docking onto aldosterone's receptors instead, telling your kidneys to dump potassium and hang on to sodium and water. Potassium isn't just a number on a lab report. It's what your heart cells use to reset their electrical charge after every single beat, like a metronome keeping the whole system in time. Drop it low enough, and the metronome starts skipping. The signal that's supposed to move in an orderly wave through your heart starts misfiring, early, late, sometimes not at all. You spent 4 months treating the tiredness and the bruising and the new roundness in your face as the whole problem. They weren't the problem. They were the receipts. All right, let's watch your heart's wiring fail in real time. 11:40 to 11:43 p.m. The flutter happens again, longer this time. Not painful, just wrong, like your heart hit a pothole. You do what every stressed, tired 47-year-old does. You take a breath, tell yourself it's nothing, blame the third coffee, and go back to your spreadsheet. Your potassium's been sliding for months. Not tonight, quietly dropping with every high cortisol week. And you've had the precursor symptoms the whole time. The leg cramps that woke you up at 3 a.m. The weakness in the gym you blamed on being busy. You just didn't connect any of it because none of it hurt enough to stop you. Tonight, it's sitting around 2.8, well under the healthy range of 3.5 to 5. And your heart's electrical system has been running on fumes for weeks. Tonight's just the night the math finally runs out. 11:43 to 11:47 p.m. The flutters aren't isolated anymore, they're clustering. Your heart's thrown into premature ventricular contractions, extra beats jumping in, out of rhythm, and each one feels like a full-body hiccup. You stand up to get water and the room tilts. Not dramatically, just enough that you put a hand on the desk. You tell yourself you'll go to the doctor next week, once things calm down at work. Things have not calmed down at work in 4 years. 11:47 to 11:49 p.m. This is where it stops being a warning and becomes the event. Your heart's electrical signal, the one that's supposed to move in one clean, orderly wave, degrades into chaos. Ventricular tachycardia, a clinical way of saying your heart's beating fast and wrong, pumping blood inefficiently because it doesn't have time to properly fill between beats. Your chest tightens, like someone cinching a belt around your ribs. You reach for your phone. Your hand doesn't quite cooperate. 11:49 p.m. Ventricular tachycardia collapses into ventricular fibrillation. Instead of beating, your heart's just quivering. A useless electrical seizure instead of a pump. Cardiac output drops to 0 instantly. Within 5 to 10 seconds, you're unconscious, slumped forward over the keyboard before you even finish reaching for the phone. There's no lingering moment where you're sitting there, aware, watching this happen. The lights just go out. 11:49 p.m. onward. Somewhere in the house, your wife's asleep. Your business partner's phone, on the desk next to you, lights up with a Slack notification you'll never read. This is the window, the one where 4 minutes of CPR and a defibrillator turns this into a story you tell at dinner parties instead of one your family tells at yours. Nobody comes. Your brain, starved of oxygen, starts losing cells within minutes. Your heart, still technically alive in a twitching, useless way, eventually runs out of whatever it was running on. It stops. The room's quiet, except for your laptop fan and a cursor still blinking in a spreadsheet cell you never finished filling in.
So, what does this actually feel like from the inside? At first, almost nothing. That's the scary part. A flutter doesn't announce itself as a cardiac event. It announces itself as a minor inconvenience, the kind of thing you've spent months trained to explain away. The tiredness was stress, the leg cramps were the gym, the flutters just caffeine. Then comes the tightening, and underneath it, a very unwelcome clarity. The old animal part of your brain finally clocks that this isn't stress wrong, it's wrong. Adrenaline dumps into a system already drowning in cortisol, and for a few seconds, everything sharpens. You're aware of your own pulse in a way you've never been, except it's not a pulse anymore, it's static. The room tilts, your blood pressure and your brain's oxygen supply both starting to slip as your heart pumps faster and worse at the same time. Then it's not a slip anymore, it's a cliff. The second your heart drops into fibrillation, blood flow to your brain doesn't taper off, it stops. Completely, instantly. You don't get a lingering moment of dread, no tunnel, no time to be afraid. Cardiac output hits 0, and consciousness follows it in under 10 seconds. 1 second, there's a spreadsheet and an ache in your chest. Then, nothing. No final thought about your kids. Just an off switch, flipped by an organ that spent months trying to warn you it was running on empty.